Your kids will love McDonald's Happy Meal. It's food and fun in a box. It's a hamburger or cheeseburger, regular-sized fries, regular-sized soft drink, and a McDonald and cookie sampler.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, you guys?
What's up, guys? Edward wants to do the intro today. Welcome back to Large Lads, the largest show on the internet with your host Max, Coach Klong, and Samuel. We're getting right into it. We're fired up for today.
All right, who wants to go first on topics there?
Kirsten, you have a topic. You never go first.
I do have a topic.
Let's rip it.
I was watching a Nick Walker video, and I noticed that him and Tiffany Sam have been training legs together. If you're a longtime Large Lads viewer, you might remember I was shilling about how cool Tiffany Sam is. Like, what was it, like 6 months ago, probably, maybe more? But if you don't know who she is, she's a big wellness competitor, but she is not doing what the standard would suggest you should do as a wellness competitor, because a lot of wellness competitors are having to downsize to fit the standard, whereas her goal is to just have like open level legs and not train her upper body. Super sick.
The ideal physique.
Yes.
Monster.
So she's been training with Nick Walker on their leg days, which is really cool. And Sam has a theory that Nick Walker, well, it's not a theory, he needs more quads. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that this will be very synergistic. And Tiffany they will help each other, and Nick's quads will grow.
I remember it was very funny. Pete Rubish did his girlfriend's bikini workout, and it led to his best meet prep ever, I think.
That's
because
so
it was just
funny.
a guy who was not intelligently training his legs, was just given like the most rudimentary, just like leg extensions, hamstring curl. And he's like, this shit's fucking cooking. Oh my God.
Because I didn't realize, if you watch Nick leg press, I didn't realize how turned out his toes were. Like if you look at it from a side angle, it's like, oh, that, his toes are turned out a little bit to get big ROM. I saw like a top angle, and his feet are like turned way out.
Like full pigeon toed. Yeah.
So I'm curious.
And that kind of ties into something me and Kirsten have been discussing, right? Where it's like, Nick is super interesting. There's not a single muscle on his upper body that isn't exotically developed. Got a bit of a wide waist, which is a problem. Hamstrings, some of the best there are. Adductors, some of the best there are. It is just his quads that are not up to par. So it's like, and it's interesting, like, is it truly just that he has a single muscle that is not genetically gifted? Everything else is super genetically gifted, like top percentile? Or is this is it a blood flow thing? Does it relate to why he's got so many varicose veins? Is it a training thing, right? I forget the gentleman's name. A bunch of the Large Lads will know who I'm talking about. He's the guy who always talks about internal rotation, counter nutation, and is always talking about like expansion.
I don't know with the Goda Woda guys.
No.
That's like classic bodybuilding advice, of course.
He's a guy who's had like a growing YouTube over the last year. He's interviewed GVA. He's around. A bunch of guys will know who I'm talking about. He's really big on the expansion compression model, like the rib cage, and looking at things from that angle of like compression expansion, rib cage expansion, rather than always just looking at like angles and lines of pull. He's a guy, that's his like main thing. And he's adamant that it's like a positional and a function issue, that like Nick Walker has lost so much access to internal rotation, or Nick Walker has lost so much mobility at his ankle that he's not able to create a full like growth stimulus for the quads. And I find that really interesting and compelling. Like, is it a coincidence that the guy whose quads are the one thing he can't get to grow also has to turn his toes out to a degree that is absolutely insane to achieve full depth, right? And following like the RP school of thought, you're like, well, he's still getting a full knee bend. He's getting a full deep knee bend. If that's what he needs to do, cool. You'll get some extra adductors out of it too. Maximal quads. but he's not displacing his knee very far forward, which part of that levers equation that increases the tension. I don't know. It's something that me and Chris have been talking about in the car of like, is it really that's just like a not a responsive muscle, or is there like a physiological reason going on, right? And maybe if he restored hip IR, could he train it in a way that brought it to a new all-time best? Because obviously he's been trying, right? Like
it's very funny, like movement dysfunction or like physiological dysfunction is both like such a, like I feel like oftentimes con man term, but also it's like you see strongman reach a level, right? Neglect their shoulder mobility, right?
Yeah.
And then their shoulders like start moving wrong. Like you can just see that they can no longer like move correctly.
Yeah.
And so it's like clearly visually, if you've watched enough reps of anything, like you can start seeing when people are like, oh, how did you forget how to do that, right? And like you can like lose the restriction or like access to those positions.
Yeah, Martins has been talking about that a ton on his videos about how like he's trying really hard to restore his shoulder mobility as he's trying to get stronger for next year's comps.
Mm-hmm. That was a guy I really did not think that was gonna like, because he is so just like
conscientious of that.
Yeah, and like movement, and he was like always so proud of his like actually having a good overhead press position for a strongman. I was kind of shocked that like really like his most recent video said it was like 3 weeks of circus dumbbell, and like that was the thing that like, sent him over the edge for like just destroying his shoulder. And I was like, that's so crazy.
And benching, I think he said he tried to do bench.
He was, it's like, it's funny to see someone like you said who prides themselves on like maintaining really good movement quality, completely lose the ability for their scaps to rotate upward. Like the lats have gotten so tight, the pecs have gotten so tight that there's no ability for that scap to rotate upward and take the shoulder socket, which viewers, the shoulder socket like kind of sits like this. Your arm comes up in the shoulder socket. You get to about here, and then that whole socket, because it's on your scapula, rotates upward. That's why you need like good traps to overhead press well. It's because that's going to be part of what pulls that thing, the whole surface, to face upward. And if that shoulder socket stays kind of pointing down like this, you literally bang your arm bone into the top of the joint. The whole joint needs to be able to rotate. And Martins has lost that. He's working very hard to regain it. But it's interesting to see like that, like.
You look like that goofy piece of shit, Mitch Hooper. Mitch Hooper said that the world squat record is like lame and unimpressive and no one cares. I now will publicly say I hate Mitch Hooper.
That really pissed Max off.
There's two things that irk me.
Never
disrespecting Ray Williams and unfaithfulness.
I thought you were going to say disrespecting women.
Oh, yeah. Disrespecting a woman and disrespecting Ray Williams.
Let's fucking go. But yeah, it's interesting, right? And like that kind of, I was on a bit of a kick talking about this on the channel where like, I like the term maladaptation, right? Like you do a bunch of bench pressing and you get these adaptations that are good adaptations that let you bench more. Pecs get bigger, triceps get bigger, get better at holding these. Who knows? Maybe over a very long time, your rib cage might even open up a little bit, right? We get like these adaptations of our body that make us better and better at the task. But there's also other things that if they go unchecked, represent losses of function. Like that same bench presser, their pecs and their lats get tighter and tighter and tighter, and then they lose the ability to put their arm over their head unless they're doing something to stave off those negative adaptations, right? And you can see strongmen just are always rowing, pressing, and they lose the ability to reach a true overhead position unless there is deliberate work to like stave off those maladaptations.
I feel like part of it is that every strongman is like too heavy to have pull-ups be like their upper back movement, and so the number of them that'll just like do no hang, or if they are doing a hang, will just learn to do it from the leg.
Speaking of that, that's an interesting thing, man. It's very interesting that almost no top athletes in powerlifting or strongman are particularly elite at vertical pulling. They don't push that anywhere near the limit. Like there are guys who are strong. Top end strong in rowing. There's guys who are top end strong in all these other physical parameters.
Even like dips, because you could be like, oh, is it just like calisthenics, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're not pushing the like actually top end street lifting guys, but like they're like would be like, immediately
there are some power
very
lifters.
Advanced to elite in street lifting. They wouldn't be the best in the world by any means, but it's like can't think of any powerlifter that would be like, oh, they'd be like really competitive in street lifting.
Pull-ups.
They would get destroyed in fucking pull or chins, like.
Yeah. Because like, it's like, you look at guys like SSJ Bob. I'm pretty good at dips myself.
Yeah.
The dip numbers are pretty good. So clearly, okay, pushing this parameter really far seems to yield returns back to the sport. Clearly, if it was a good use of time, people would do it. But like the fact that there's like, oh, look, it's it's Brian Shaw, like can't do a pull-up at 400 pounds.
Yeah.
There are people that can do 400-pound total weight pull-ups. They are just stronger at that parameter.
Yeah.
But people are clearly just using vertical pulling as a means to an end. Like it's tertiary at best. It's just a way to kind of include more pulling volume, general shoulder health, lats and bicep growth is cool. But like no one's really pushing it very far. I also saw, and like nobody, right? And I think that's really interesting, is like truly that high level, like absolute weight vertical pulling when that's like not directly their outcome. So I saw a crazy, I'm coming around. I like Andrei Smaev.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my God. I saw a post on Reddit that was like, is he the strongest man in the world right now? I saw Brian Shaw can't do a pull-up and he can easily do pull-ups at this weight. And the comments were like, well, what about like every other, like what about legs? What about deadlifts? What about like any other physical task? He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like just how far ahead he is in pull-ups should tell you everything you need to know. He's also done this on leg press. And it's like, fuck, okay. I'm not going to let annoying fans ruin things for me. I've done that.
It's crazy. I prefer Samayev as the strongest person in the world over Haviland.
Oh, that take? Yeah. Well, at least Samayev is
Undisputably the best at something.
Yeah.
So if like you're just like, I'm a pull-up guy, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you could, if you want to say like, by my weird bad definition, there's no one who's ever been that good at pull-ups.
Yeah, if you're a pull-up purist, that is the strongest pull-upper ever, and there is no like he just is. For reps, for chins, for like that is the strongest vertical puller to ever live. And if you are like pull-up pilled, that's the strongest guy in the world. He's way better than Eddie Hall.
I would argue that Samayev is almost just like the peak version of local YMCA gym bro. Leg motion is only leg press, and he seemingly did like 2 sets 10 years ago. I've only ever seen him do one video. It's pretty impressive, but like bunch of pull-ups. They all love pull-ups because they're 160 pounds, and they all do bench press. Samayev's just the best at the eye at those 3 things, maybe.
He does lots of stuff though.
Yeah,
I've come around to the guy.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like I've let that happen to me before, where I didn't like an athlete's fans, so I then didn't like the athlete. And it's like let's just say Yuri Prohaska got a bunch of really annoying fans.
Yep.
That's fine. I'm one of them. I'll ignore the other ones. I'm not letting you guys ruin this for me. But yeah, this guy was going to bat and then deleted his account. And I thought that was pretty funny when people are like, yeah, but like, he's like, he also benches 660. And I'm like, well, Julius Maddox benches 100 pounds more than that. And he's just like, yeah, but he's fat. I was like, wait. That wasn't part of this discussion. Because someone else was like, well, what about pound for pound, John Hack? And he's like, I'm not talking about pound for pound. I'm talking raw strength. But then it was like, get Julius out of here.
I'm not talking about Tubby Boy over here.
Me and you had a little we've got good open powerlifting knowledge. It's a standard activity of me and Max is just be sitting at the dinner table and be like, name the top 5 heaviest conventional deadlifts done raw in powerlifting. Right?
Can you name the top 3 198 totals right now?
We had a pretty good poll the other day where you said on another podcast they were discussing what is the heaviest total ever done by someone who squatted and deadlifted less than their bench press. And I know exactly, off the top of my head, I guarantee it's Jeremy Hornstrom.
Well, it's very funny because they went like, oh, it's got to be like 500, 500, 500. Like 1,500 is pretty impressive. And we were like, I know it's more than that.
You're wrong. It's like
300 kg, 300 kg, 300 kg.
No, it's 600 flat, 300 kg, 620. He's like full on still beating them, right? So it's like 1850. And I was like, yeah, I can guarantee you can scroll up in powerlifting as long as you want. You will not find something that beats an 1850 total with the squat and the deadlift below the bench press. But then we brought up that 2100 Tado. 2100, there was someone who could have done it, right? Because TD could have just done 700, because he did 700 full meet. He did 710.
Yeah.
So he could have done 710, 710, 710.
Yeah.
Dare I say, if his technique was a little bit better, I think that guy could have gone 750, 750, 750.
What an insane idea. Somebody puts a 2250 total with the golden ratio. The perfect all 3 lifts are equal.
Jeez. All right. Bert, you got a topic or you want to use one of mine?
We'll go one of yours.
All right. So we'll go. Do you want something that's more just like kind of large lads, tomfoolery, dumbass question, or training discussion?
We'll go tomfoolery first.
Okay. Bro science, what foods do you think automatically just consuming them daily makes your body function better and are stronger? I don't need science. But it doesn't mean you have to give something that's not true.
Yeah, okay. blackberries and blueberries.
Boom. That's one of mine. I swear to God, I just function on a higher level as a being.
I think the reason I got to the 2K total was my smoothies.
Hell yeah.
Me adding my like weird Greek yogurt bowl with berries or smoothie, it's doing something.
The trademark Max yogurt meal.
Yeah. Speaking of one of my staple meals, it's just a weird amount of Greek yogurt and how in whatever form that I decide to eat it that day.
I'm a big chicken and rice guy. I feel like I'm functioning at a higher level when I'm eating mostly chicken and rice.
I see. I'm like a beef for the micros kind of guy, right? But I'm also like, if you were like Max, write what you think would actually be like an optimal diet for you right now. I probably should be having a chicken meal. Like Sam and I have talked about, like with the amount that I'm eating, I'm also like I get the Costco beef because I think it's much better quality, but it's a little bit fattier. I'm like, I bet one of my meals of being either chicken or fish probably a little bit better.
Fair.
It'd also be easier if I wanted to push up to heavier body weight to have a slightly faster digesting thing than beef. To like just make that my breakfast so I can roll a second lunch faster at work.
That's actually been a problem for me in the past where I'll forget to put a fat source.
Oh,
so
digest too fast.
Chicken, rice, and veggies, and then like an hour later I'll be like hangry at work and I'm like, fuck, I have like 2 more hours before I can eat again. I just didn't put any avocado oil on it.
Yeah, I also like mixing in like the white fish meal or the chicken meal because it also lets you run up a higher protein total.
I think a fish is good, man. Like especially like a salmon. Salmon's one of those ones where like, oh, that's doing something, I think.
Well, you know mine, it's not a specific food in particular because I was going to say blueberries.
Yep, I stole it.
You just function on a higher level when blueberries are in your diet. Oranges or orange juice. Absolutely. Very important. But I was going to say, I've observed over and over recently that if I take the time halfway through my workout to pause and eat something solid, it's not even, the second half of the workout always goes fine. So it's not that I'm running out of fuel, but I think my ability to like calm down after the workout and begin recovering is way better. And so I've tried intra-workout. Like people are like a lot of guys like working out on an empty stomach. I don't like working out on an empty stomach. I eat before, and I would start doing like an intra-carb, like drink, and that wouldn't do it. It wasn't giving me those same benefits. I need to literally take the time to like at the halfway point to pause. Doesn't seem to matter what it is as long as it doesn't upset my stomach. But like usually I'll just eat a banana. I was gonna try the old honey mid-workout thing that people do.
Classic like Thor.
Yeah, I'm just fucking around. Like what kind of fits the vibe of pausing my workout to eat? So I'm like banana and honey. That sounds pretty like hearty.
Tasty
I try to
also.
Yeah, I try to
good
avoid.
combo.
I really like just conceptually, it's not that important, but I try to avoid things that are like empty, right? So like, Kirsten, instead of drinking a Gatorade during her workout, dilutes cranberry juice, right? And so it's like, okay, cool. There's some antioxidants there. It's the carbs are carbs. It's probably about the same. Like sure, the dextrose goes a little faster in Gatorade, but that way nothing is empty. So I'm like, whatever I need to eat needs to be like slightly good. It has been making such a massive difference. And you were like, oh, really? On like your big lower days, because our big lower days can take a while. I was like, no, even on my upper days where I'm in and out, like I'm done with the workout in less than an hour and a half tops. And that's if I'm like not going fast. It still makes a difference for how I like recover. Like,
I don't like feel that at all. But like
John Meadows always talked about how he felt like that was like one of the most underrated things for recovery was just that if you're really smart with what you put in that pre, intra, and post window, you open your, like, even total calories for the day equated, that it makes this big difference. And we know nutritionally it probably doesn't make that big of a difference. There's no anabolic window. This meal spacing to boost your metabolism isn't real, but it probably has something more to do with like your nervous system, like sympathetic nervous system. Something about nailing the food around them lets you get up for the workout, but then get down soon after and like learn how to come up and down. Because if you train like super fast, you could just stay up. But if you do strength training with a little bit longer rest intervals, that like up and down. I was talking to Adam about this, where he's like, you'd hear people like talk about the skill of getting hyped up, but you don't hear about people like the skill of like coming down quick between sets. So that way you don't exhaust yourself by just staying up, unless you're someone who likes really fast-paced training.
Yeah, it's funny. I heard Martine's talking about like, oh, if you're like 90%, you're probably taking like a 5 to 15 minute break. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking I've heard a lot of really strong dudes say that, right?
Eddie was a big 15-minuter.
Thor also, like I've seen him set a 14-minute timer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think there is something, but like I think that's like exotic level strength.
Yeah.
Like anyone at the gym, if they told me like, oh, I set a 15-minute timer,
Jesus.
even for specificity, I would be like, oh, I'm simulating the meet. Go do your set. What the fuck are you doing?
I would bully them. I'm not going to lie. Bullying is bad, but I would be forced into doing it if someone told me they were set. If somebody was like, yo, I've just got one more set. I've got a 15.
There is a dude in our gym that I think's been setting 15-minute timers.
There's no timer.
Yeah, no, there's not. I'm like, dude, I'm concerned for you. You must be cold. Like, if you're taking 20 minutes between a set of squats, I feel like I would feel like dangerously shit.
Yeah, dude. Some of these, like, it's like not even warm in the gym, and it's like I watched you not do something for like 25 minutes. I would be terrified to get back under like a 85% squat after doing nothing for that long. I've got healthy knees, and I'd be worried for them.
It's a very funny, like, fat dude thought of me being like, just like so sweaty. Be like, no one else here is breaking a sweat. What a bunch of fucking jumps.
No one's working hard like me.
It's so hot. I'm working so much harder than all these fucking idiots. I'm just soaking wet. I got out of a pool.
The other one I was going to say is it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like most people you talk to them, and big part of getting better is just getting better at pushing yourself, right? They like whether that's just in a set or doing more sets, or just like they don't come from a background where that's something familiar. So that's the first thing you got to learn is how to push yourself. Like pushing yourself further will get you more, right? Eventually that stops being true and pushing yourself further becomes detrimental. But most people, that's the curve. But it's funny, you run into people that have become like, I call it like getting back to baseline specialist, where they just keep doing more and more work, and their body has gotten really efficient at recovering and getting back to the ability to match their normal performance level, but they never see any super compensation. Mm-hmm. And those people like need to do markedly less, like cut down like free up some resources to not just get back to your normal performance, but actually super compensate. But because they're like, oh, I'm recovering, I'll do more. And their body gets really, really efficient at like handling a lot of work across the week, and they're never making like meaningful super compensation. You know,
it's very funny. I feel like one of the best 6 months of training I've ever had was when we went from 6 days to 5 days. I was at like a 1,900 pound total, and we're like, I'm like managing. It's fine. Like,
yeah.
I'm putting in the work. I'm like, I feel a little bit drained all the time, but like I was like, this is really productive training. There's no reason to stop at 6 days. And we're like, I think we should go to 5. And I was like, I don't know, man. And then I had like one of the worst meets I've had, like in terms of like how we thought training went versus how I performed. And we dropped to 5, and immediately I just like cooked through a bunch of PRs, and I was like, oh shit, I was just like in an unproductive level of like overtrained all the time.
Exactly.
But I was like, oh, I'm not getting injured, so clearly it's fine. Like,
exactly.
It's like,
right.
Like, am I really overtrained? I'm still sleeping okay. Like, I had reached a baseline where like I could technically still do 6 days of reasonable training. It still looked like what I normally did, but it just had reached a point where it was just not effective. And like, I think part of it is like a little bit bro science-y, but like my body was just kind of like getting back to baseline, as you said,
yeah.
But it didn't have any energy to actually get stronger. So it was like all of my energy was going to just being like fine again, and then I do another workout, and then I'm fine again.
I think Henry's guilty of that, where it's just like all that guy needs to do is do a little bit less. Like he's just always doing stuff on his rest days, like just always doing stuff, and that's cool because he's built up like one hell of an engine, and he would say that's lame because it's not being big and strong.
Yeah.
I'm like, but then you need to do like. It's very rare I'll tell someone to do less. That is someone that just needs to do like take a day off. Like fucking, if you're not gonna eat more, move a little less.
Eat a shitload more if you're gonna fucking decide to do this.
That's the first time I recommend moving less. But fuck Jesus Christ, if you can't eat anymore, move less. Like you just need to free up some resources to actually adapt to the training. Me and Chris were talking about this the other day. Maybe you'll think this is kind of interesting. The program, like the coach or your own program, what you do across the week, right? We are the byproducts of everything that we do daily or weekly. It informs the shape of the athlete, but the ability to actually fill into that shape is whether that athlete is eating right, whether that athlete is sleeping right? Like so you can, if a bunch of people run the same program, they're going to conform to the same general shape of this program really emphasizes arms and it really underemphasizes legs. Everybody's going to be a little bit leg heavy, right? Some people will get really arm dominant because they've got a predisposition. Like there's a genetic component where it's like, if you're all arm already, it's gonna be crazy. And if you're someone who's got great legs naturally, then it might be balanced. Mm-hmm. But everybody's gonna move in the direction that program shapes out. Yeah. But some people are going to fill it more completely than others. And I think that's like, some people are genetically really malleable, but it's also like, do the food and the nutrition well enough to fill up more of that shape, and like people hire different coaches. Like this coach is the deadlift guy, but this coach is the bench guy. okay, well then who's going to fill into that shape better? I don't know. I don't know if that's actually providing anything interesting. But I was just thinking about that the other day. Me and Chris were talking about that. Like the program, the weekly training, the structure informs the shape, but the recovery the outside the gym variables, and also assuming you're doing the training hard and well, actually informs how much you fill to that shape, whether you're a big version of that shape or a little version of that shape.
You know what that kind of makes me think of? The whole just like, oh, a good athlete could succeed on a million different types of programs, right? I feel like a lot of the time, it'll like be like a coach who sometimes is bad. We'll say this. I've heard a lot of bad coaches like, I coach people in all kinds of different ways. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're just writing nonsense for people. Like, it can all work. Right? But like realistically, the people who I think are like the best examples of that are people who I think their coach is like maybe not the best coach, right?
Yeah.
And they're borderline ignoring the program.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of liberties.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, this guy writes way too much work for someone this strength level, or like this guy writes, I don't know, like way too little for the 74, right? And the 74 kilo is just tacking on a bunch of extra sets, and it's like they're making whatever works because they're a really good athlete and are just adjusting the program. It's not like, oh, this program would just work for anyone if you just tried super hard. It's like if you're a good athlete, you're gonna figure out what you need to succeed, and like this is not me saying like go off the program, of course. Like being a good athlete is just deciding what you need. But like I think that is like in a lot of the essence of like will succeed in a lot of different programs is that like they will kind of shape the program to actually be a successful one if it's not actively working.
Yeah.
In the same way that like a really good coach I think will like make the model work with a different athlete by being like, so my thing is the big arm one, right?
Yeah.
You have insanely long arms. We're going to do less frequency or something in order to adapt to the fact that you are getting beat to shit and have horrible tendonitis.
Yeah. I was going to say, what do you... Somebody say something else. I need to finish formulating this question.
On same topic or different?
Anything is fine.
Okay. I'll hit my topic real fast. We'll come back to you. We've talked about that if you're a person, right... you're not going to magically commit to perfect training. If you're a human being, you're not going to suddenly lock in and be 100% perfect. Part of that, though, is you have to be honest to yourself when you're being lazy. Like we were talking about, like when you have a decent training knowledge, you can kind of like trick yourself into believing anything, right? I have to catch myself not doing that all the time. Where I'm like, am I having this caffeine because I need it and it's going to benefit my training? Or am I doing this because I'm having a hard day and I'm being lazy? And just being honest about keeps like actual reality in perspective of being like, no, this is a bad choice that I'm making like on purpose. Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm tired and I just want caffeine. I could make it through my workout probably as productively if I just really tried hard, but today I just want to have a little bit of extra caffeine. And caffeine specifically has been my thing of like the number of people who are like, oh yeah, I just like need it to get through a workout. And it's like, no, you don't. Like you're just kind of like using that as a crutch, right? Which is fine. If you're just like, my life right now, I don't want to have to summon this to work out every day. That's fine. But like being honest with yourself, I think allows you to be more productive. If not now, then down the line, where it's just like at some point, if you're like, oh, I want to lock in, and you've arbitrarily decided like, I need caffeine every single day to succeed, right? It's screwing your recovery. If you had been like, oh, I'm doing this as a crutch, when you're like, oh, I want to do this more seriously, you're able to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to like pull back on my caffeine so I can actually start sleeping good.
I mean, really, it's just like being honest with yourself is kind of important, right? Like I was talking to Adam about like, it's the Sheether Brothers brand of maybe being a little bit rudely honest in our banter.
It's so funny
like, and
because
people don't like
you
that.
do it and are like, I don't care.
You're pretty bad.
I do it and I don't think I'm doing it, is what I was going to say.
Okay.
Like you're just like, I'm not going to like fucking like sugarcoat this to someone. If I respect you as an individual, I'm just going to like be honest with you because I think it's the most helpful thing I can be, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, why was he so offended?
It's part of the banter.
I just told him his squat was ugly. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's nothing that you have ever said to me where you're like, yeah, you know how your background's a fuck ton on your deadlift? Be like, yeah, it does. Like that's a true statement. Like, that why would it hurt my feelings for you to say something that's true?
We both have had a training cope or two where we're like, I don't know, and then we'll come back and like, fuck.
Or I'll be like, Max, your triceps are giant and unfunctional somehow. That's really weird. And you're like, fuck, that's true. Like, that can't really be offensive, right? And I'll get to bantering with people at the gym. Be like, yeah, you know how your deadlift looks like shit? And they're like, what? I don't think it looks that bad. It's like, what? You're not on the same page? This is how you get better, is you need to know these things, man.
Well, I also am just like, have you not had like a shithead group of high school friends? Like, I thought we were buddies. Like, I'm not going to like walk up to a random coworker and be like, ugly hairdo, dog. You're like, I'm doing you a favor. I'm letting you know that your hair is fucking bad today.
Do you think people just never had like a friend group where they like did banter? Like I see people on the internet say Americans do it less. Maybe that's part of it. But like I don't know. Every friend group I've ever had, like you're just like, oh, you look like shit today. That's
in
it's
some
banter,
ways,
man.
it's slightly nice because it's like, that's a bad hat.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah,
no one wants to be seen in public with you in that hat.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, I hate that you immediately pointed out my new hat. But also, probably helpful because I'm not going to wear this hat again.
I remember there was a couple times when I was like, Sam, were you just like, that was kind of rude. You should probably go apologize. He's like, that was like banter. I was like, are you sure? I was like, I've been like genuinely concerned a couple times. I'm like, you might have like, that guy might be sad.
And it truly might be. Sometimes Sam will take a swing on a dude who he should like.
But I also had my banter threshold is very low. Very low.
I've never met someone who can wound me the way you can. You were on accident one of the meanest people I know.
I became good at banter very fast.
Have we told the legendary story of you saying Max looked like a fat lesbian? Just acknowledge how funny that is. Kirsten's a beast.
I don't recall.
Kirsten's a beast.
I don't remember.
You do recall this. You're lying.
I don't remember the context.
So I'm 15 years old. I'm talking to my brother.
I don't
He's
know
with
the
his
context.
new girlfriend, and she goes, "Oh, ha! He looks like a fat lesbian."
I don't
Sam
remember.
texts me, "Ha ha ha! Listen to this, gay boy." Kirsten just said you look like a fat lesbian, and I was like, what? I don't know this person. Like, I'd never met Kirsten. This was the first time I'd heard about Kirsten.
I like to think there was some context there. Of like, maybe I saw a particularly bad photo of you or something.
Oh my god, I just laughed so hard about my nosebleed.
Oh, no.
Holy shit.
All right, well, Max is going to go fix his nosebleed. I thought that was beastly. That's super funny. Kirsten will just walk in here. If Kirsten gets a fucking lick of alcohol, she's just like, all right, it's time to go bully Max. She'll just walk out into the living room and be like, Max, you're smelly.
Smelly boy, what are you doing?
Kirsten is belligerent off of half of a beer. It's crazy, actually.
At a certain point, I think it's just an excuse to...
That's just her inner monologue let loose.
something drunk thoughts or drunk words or sober thoughts. Also, wow,
Kirsten loves drunk thoughts.
Anytime I have a really bad bloody nose at the gym, the next day my nose will bleed so easily.
Yeah.
Also, if you guys watch my YouTube video, it'll be up by the time that this goes up.
Yeah.
I put a lot of work into it.
If you missed it, watch Max's video. It went up on Monday.
It was so cool that I bled a bunch.
Max, what are you, Kirsten, you're a coach. You have some insight on this too. You know what argument I hear? It's just, I don't know. I hate dumb arguments. I really don't like dumb arguments. Winds me up.
And then you think about it all day.
And I think about dumb arguments all day. I see people that I don't think are great coaches. And people would be like, why don't you have a strong lifter?
Yep.
And they're like, that's just genetics. Anybody can coach elite lifters.
Yep.
And then I heard the opposite end, which was Thomas Lilly saying, no, that's not true. Coaching beginners is really, really easy because they can do anything and get better.
Yep.
Coaching elite lifters is really, really hard because it's very high stakes and they're redlining their fatigue. And that any big, like, if you make a misstep in a beginner's program, they might just lift it anyway.
Yep.
And everything is fine. If you make a misstep peaking a guy to a 1,000-kilo total, he's injured and the whole thing goes out the window. Like bad, it could be bad, like enough weight to hurt you. And he was like saying that like, no, I think it's the opposite, right?
Let me offer two thoughts really fast, right?
Yeah.
Coaching good lifters in itself means nothing because there are a bunch of popular grifters who can say they have coached a bunch of like random 2,000, 550 dots guys, and they didn't get them any better. So in the context of...
Because they were popular.
There are a lot of coaches that are reputable that I have consistently people do not succeed under.
They didn't get... they haven't gotten anybody better. They've worked with a lot of good athletes, but nobody got better in their time.
And I would argue if you've worked with a bunch of really talented athletes and you don't have a lot that are getting better, that's an even worse sign. So like, oh, I've worked with a bunch of athletes. Doesn't really mean anything. Have you gotten them better, right? Yeah. Working with a beginner, right? I've like helped people out at the gym who are early on, right? Truly, you can't just like throw anything at them and they'll get better. Like you could just push them over and have them do fucking like pull-ups while you punch them in the stomach. you can go through and do Instagram workouts.
Okay.
making them allowing them to get to intermediate more easily, I think, is both the challenge and also the indicator of being a good coach. Like, I had put zero thought into development of a beginner powerlifter or athlete, because I was just like, no, I'm already here, so I can only get better from where I am. But talking to you guys, right, I was like, oh shit. There's after 1 year of training, even if we're at equal strength levels, you can set someone up to see a tremendous amount of sex or to
That too.
yeah.
If you hire Kirsten Long for your first year of lifting,
Yo, you're gonna get laid.
she will set you up to fuck bitches.
See a tremendous amount of success, right? Or else you could leave them with a bunch of problems. Like the number of people that we know that after 1 year of training somehow have a bunch of things to unlearn. Yeah. Like you have work to do to get to intermediate because you've learned a bunch of horrible movement patterns, right? Like your coach taught a horrible deadlift technique, and now we have to be like, that's not how you deadlift, stop doing that, versus someone you have a basic hinge, you've got decent mobility, you've practiced learning how to work with a muscle, right? I think that is the actual indicator of being a good beginner coach, is setting them up to be transfer into a progressively better lifter, rather than oh, I've added hundreds of pounds to people's totals. People who say that, grifter. Oh yeah, you took a beginner from a fucking 600 pound total to an 800 pound total? We gotta give him you gotta give him a 1x workout doing push-ups, and he probably would have had the same progress. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point of setting people up for success. I feel form is a big thing, obviously, like you said, but there's also a lot there's a lot of different ways to do that, right? There's a couple people at the gym who coach athletes, and they have the mentality of we get their form better as we get them stronger because they're athletes. They don't need perfect form, they just need form that gets better. And I see them over time with their athletes. They get stronger and their form gets better at the same time. Whereas I'm more of a if I have a true beginner, I'm we're gonna stick out making sure this feels and looks close enough to what I want, and then the weight will come really fast after that. So I think there's lots of different ways to do it, but that definitely when you see, or if you see someone who's you're concerned for their well-being, who's in their first year of lifting and their back looks like it's gonna snap in half.
You need to spend multiple months adjusted, you almost worked backwards because you have more muscle now, but also you have to unlearn all of this weird shit you've been doing.
And you have numbers in your head then, right? You're I should
that
be able to do
people.
this.
If you just teach them to squat high and then you're just it doesn't count. You have to start it from square zero.
Right, I did 3 plates, and it's You did.
You're not a 2-plate squatter.
No, it really sucks.
People do that with ass off the bench. They're I need to get back above this weight. You were never at that weight to the movement standard we're discussing. That's a shit revelation. But there are some people who are great grassroots coaches where maybe they don't really work with any high level athletes, but they set people up for success. I will say
I think you'll end up with some decent athletes unless you have an art of if you're oh, I'm a high school powerlifting coach. What kind of inherently you're losing all of your prospects over and over.
But what
and
if you I know some people that almost give away they're you've kind of outgrown what I do.
Yep.
I think that's super respectable. If you're setting them up for success and they leave you with good tech,
I've never
foundation.
met anyone like that. But if that was a thing, that's pretty cool.
I've met a couple people that are I know my limits.
Yeah.
They've coached X number of people to a 380 dots. And they're you start getting up there. There's a humility in saying, I don't know what you need to do to get better. I want you to succeed. Maybe go hire someone has worked with more athletes like you. I think that's cool. It's rare. But I always think the advertising of one, like you said, I've added hundreds of pounds to people's totals. It's that doesn't, anybody, you have to know that means nothing. Or they just think they're brilliant because they're making beginners
just
stronger.
coaching a bunch of beginners and be holy shit.
God, I'm so good.
They keep quitting, but if they weren't, I would speed run a 3,000 on total.
I've worked with 10,000 athletes. Oh, so you've
That's
got
a real claim, by the way.
You've got trash retention because everybody leaves. A good coach works with less athletes because they retain them for longer.
Yeah, if someone said, I've been coaching for 10 years and I've had 150 athletes, I'd be like, holy shit.
Damn. So, you've got great retention. Or you're not a fucking jackass and you actually write a cap for how many athletes you have at one time. Different coaches have different methods. Some people are I don't like having above 20. Because they really want to be back and forth with them every day. They want to be really on top of everything that's going on. They charge more because they're going to be more hands-on, and they cap their lifters at 20. Some guys, they cap at 40 to 50, right? That's kind of a common coach is 30 to 50, right? Some guys are workaholics. I want to say Marcellus is has he's mentioned being at about 80, right? And it's like, that's a fuck ton of clients.
He said he's been at 100.
Yeah, and so it's like, but he keeps up, right? There are some people, and everybody with their different method has a limit, and every coach can feel when they've hit that, where they take on more people, because everybody wants more money, and you're trying to get demand initially, and you finally get some demand. You take on more people, and you start to feel your quality dip off. You know what number of clients your quality starts to fall off. Implement a cap. Maybe start raising your price if you need to pay your bills. Maybe look at an alternate, like selling some programs to these people that are interested. But set the cap. So many guys just won't set a cap. They won't say no to anyone. They always want more money, and the quality will fall off and off and off. And that's why they've got this low retention. Like, I've actually worked with 15,000 clients. It's like, that is fucking nuts if that's true. That is not an accolade.
I also feel like there's that instance of like, there's a coach who there is like that genetic freak component where a coach will have one lifter who's just like an absolute freak.
Yeah.
And then
Weird amount of times it's their wife.
that's true. And that person gets like to a really impressive level, but nobody else, they're like posting that person over and over again. And then you don't really see anybody else on their squad getting much better. Which is always an interesting, like I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm going to keep tabs on what they're doing just like out of curiosity. And then you kind of see
One premier
that.
athlete is weird because it's like, you know, if they're really good, you're getting a bunch of other people. How are you
Off
not
of
having
that.
anyone else succeed?
Yeah,
Like,
you're getting like at least people like in the middle or higher area. At least you've had one or two in that genetic, not freak, but highly genetically gifted category, and you couldn't get them.
It's very funny. The number of people that have come to you that are like really good compared or closer to one of your better clients, those guys never seem to really work out.
No, it's like most of my most successful clients came to me at the upper end of middle, right? Where it's like, I've got crazy stats on, I took you from fucking what? When did I start taking over your training? What were you at? Like,
I did 275, 155, and 315. So that's 6, 7, just shy of 1,000.
So just shy of 1,000 to 1,000 kilos. And then I've also that was very cool. Super cool.
Kirsten's the Zoomer of this podcast.
And then I've also got Justin from 1,200 to, we're going to hit 21.
Jesus.
That's
also crazy.
Grassroots, from the bottom that we're here. But I was going to say, it's funny, people just can't have any fucking nuance to it, where it's like, being a good coach and getting the best people in the world better, wow, crazy statement, is hard, right? These same people that are like, anybody could coach Jesus, the people that say that would get him hurt in a week. Because they're like, let's try.
Jesus would just ignore the program.
Yes, Jesus is a smart guy and would be like, fuck off. I'm not even going to ignore the program. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Right. But like, they're like, oh, anybody could take this top end lifter who's been pushing their limits for 10 years and get them better. You are an idiot if you think that. And you're also the same guy who would immediately get that athlete hurt. But at the same time, ooh, yeah, if you stumble upon a young Jesus Oliveras and you're like, I got this guy a 500-pound squat. Yeah, you could know nothing and get that, right? Like, that's where I think like people get like lost in the sauce of like, it's kind of the same as the discussion of like, oh, guys on gear can do anything and get bigger. True, but they have to compete against other guys on gear.
They have to be proportionally
so
good.
They should probably.
If you're like one of the better untested guys in the world, everyone you're competing against is also an untested guy.
They're also doing the same thing. So then it comes back to, okay, well, maybe don't just do anything.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Do you have a message for the people?
Thank you for your sugar-free soda suggestions.
We got a lot.
We're sipping on some grapefruit citrus frescas today, so I'll keep you guys updated.